and welcome back to another Mel's movie review. I went to go see the movie The Prodigy. Here's a little clip.
Did you really just say that? Nurturing genius.
He's our little prodigy.
Miles isn't wired like other kids.
His intelligence is off the charts. I don't have an exact score, but it'll be very high.
He's special.
Mommy, what's wrong with me?
Miles is having a very difficult time making friends. I want you to tell me everything that you remember.
I don't remember anything.
Miles's brain is extremely well developed. He may need a specialist.
You must be Miles. Miles is dangerous. I don't feel safe with him in the house.
Oh my God. He's so different now. I feel like I don't know him.
Mommy, will you always love me? No matter what I do?
Here we are, The Prodigy, directed by Nicholas McCarthy, written by Jeff Bueller, starring Golden Globe and Emmy nominee Taylor Schilling in her first foray into horror as a mother named Sarah, who has a son, Miles, who appears to be, exhibiting behavior, that is disturbing, and maybe the presence of an evil force or supernatural force. So she is chosen to investigate, or forced to investigate, to see what's going on with her child. And she's torn between her, maternal mothering instincts and whether or not to neutralize the threat. That's something that you have to actually check out in the movie if you're so interested in seeing it. If I had a child like that, I don't know. we might have some situations in the crib. What I'm saying? This child was doing all kind of stuff. I mean, cutting up this one, killing up that one. You'd have to see it for yourself. An interesting ending, which I don't want to spoil and give away for you. I guess I'll get into the pros and the cons of the movie. If I had to get into some of the major pros, one of the major pros of the movie is the performance of the actor Jackson Robert Scott as Miles. I mean, this kid is a star. I haven't seen too much from him. I'm not saying he hasn't done other movies, but I haven't seen too much from him. And he's going to be a force to be reckoned with for some time to come. Definitely he put in a stellar performance, regardless of what anybody may think about this movie, as Miles, the young kid that grew up and became, the supernatural force, that, would later become a problem. And I'll let you know how that worked out, or you could see how that worked out in the movie itself. I remember where the kid is from. The kid, Jake, the name of the actor, the young actor, he was the first person, I think one of the first kids to die, in the movie It, the remake, his little brother, wearing the raincoat that put his hand in a little vent, and then, he got eaten up and all that stuff. So he does have context from different movies it was in, because I was trying to remember where I remember the kid from. So in that movie, he was the victim. In this movie, he's the bad guy, one of the main bad guys, or you'll see how that works out in this movie. But what I will say about his character, the Miles character that Jake played, is that I like how they played it. It was a duality in it, and like I said, I don't want to spoil the movie, but there's a duality in the character where you realize, okay, something else more sinister is going on. And I like how it was portrayed once you get past the explanations and all the other stuff. It's a very solid performance. Also, a major pro is Taylor Schilling as the mother Sarah. She definitely put in some work as the mother, as far as a great performance. And, you know, like I said, one of the bigger pros was the overall supporting cast and, you know, how it was structured as far as, you know, each part that everybody played in the movie. More pros, there's very strong branding. You know, one scene or a couple of scenes where, you know, the kid Miles, played by Jake, was, you know, humming a tune, which gave you a theme for, you know, the Prodigy as far as where it will stand out in horror. You know, it's a new classic on the horizon, I believe, you know, the Prodigy. So look for it, you know, in theaters, and look for it, who knows, in maybe years to come. Who knows? Maybe it's the new classic. Also, I would say the score. The score has a unique and distinct, you know, vibe as far as how it was composed. I mean, definitely fit the scene, the eerie scene, the locations of it. I mean, you know, just definitely the atmosphere, you know, led you to, you know, a horror style movie, you know, something almost reminiscent of something you would see in the 80s, you know, set out in Pennsylvania, of course, you know, definitely a major plus. You know, would have me scared to be out there too, you know, even though, brother, I don't know, I had to give some of the 1-2, but, you know, definitely it worked out in that regard. Now that I talked about some of the pros, let's get into the cons. Some of the cons, the major con, pacing. You know, it was a good story, but, you know, it took too long to get to where it needed to go, you know, to talk about what it needed to talk about in a movie. You know, it took maybe about a half an hour before you really, you know, got into, you know, even what was going on, and you even understood, you know, the content. There was definitely continuity issues with, you know, how they got from one part to the other. And I want to try to keep this spoiler free, you know, in this review or this talking of the movie. But one of the things I will say that they did a poor job of in this movie is the explanation of how, you know, Miles became to be, you know, what you may have seen in the trailers. I thought it was a kind of a weak excuse of how they portrayed it and put it together. I can't really get too deep into it without giving away, you know, the movie itself, but it kind of could have been a better explanation as far as how Miles, you know, became or was discovered to be, you know, what he became, or who he would be, you know, in that, you know, in that course of the movie. I mean, also the plot was kind of thin. It always left you wanting more, you know. It left you, you know, feeling as if something was missing. It didn't feel like the story was purely fleshed out. I mean, it definitely had its moments. It definitely had you on the edge of your seat, you know, with certain moments of suspense, which they did. It's a horror, you know, thriller. You know, psychologically, they did some things that worked well in the movie, especially with, you know, a child being the, you know, main antagonist in the movie, you know, which you know, certain things are revealed to you later as far as who's who and what's what. But definitely, it was some things lacking and desired, you know, for, you know, I guess, you know, a better story, a better plot. However, with all that said and done, I give the overall movie maybe a, you know, good 2.5 stars. You go back to the star rated system. I give them a 2.5 stars for the Prodigy. You know, it definitely is worth seeing. I'm wondering why they didn't release it, you know, maybe more towards Halloween. Maybe they figured more people wouldn't watch it, but it's definitely a contender for, you know, a Halloween type movie, slasher, kill 'em up movie. You know, it definitely will stand the test of time if they choose to do, you know, anything more with that series. And like I said, I don't want to give any spoilers away about what possibly could or couldn't happen, but definitely it's a movie worth checking out if you have the time. You know, I say I give it 2.5 stars, and thank you for watching Mel's movie review. You know, I'll check you out next time. Peace.